So I just saw Bring Her Back. And when I say just saw it, I saw it about a week ago. It's taken me about 5 days to stomach thinking about this film enough to actually review it because this film is so messed up. It's so mean. It's so brutal. It is such a painful cinematic experience. To be clear, I loved it. Love does feel like the wrong word. I deeply respect the filmmaking. I think the storytelling, the writing, the acting, oh my god, everything is working on such a phenomenally high level of craft. But this film made me so sad, so miserable, so just filled with such pain and just I don't know, I felt like there was something on my skin and I just wanted to wash it off. I spent the last 3 or 4 days just rewatching all of my favorite films, Top Gun, Maverick, Total Recall, T2, just trying to shake off the vibe this film just gave me. It got under my skin. It felt like this film had poisoned me and I was sick, in my soul. I didn't know what this film was gonna be. I'd seen the poster, looked kind of messed up. All I knew was that it was the Filippo brothers. They made Talk to Me, which I absolutely loved. Instantly iconic Australian horror, so fantastic. But they used to also be the Raka Raka YouTube channel, which is so high energy and vibrant and fun and crazy violent, but so silly and goofy. And so I kind of forgot for a second, because even though Talk to Me is pretty messed up and a little mean-spirited and brutal, that hand is just so iconic. The party scenes have a real vibe, and it was just great to see authentic Australian cinema that felt like actual Australian teens at Aussie parties. I don't know, there's a lot about it that kind of made me forget that for some reason, the Filippo brothers want to destroy my soul. Bring Her Back doubles down. No, sorry, doubles down is that's incorrect. It triples down. In fact, it might quadruple down on the meanness, the sadness, and the nasty, brutal violence of Talk to Me. It is just such a absolutely devastating, harrowing cinematic experience. It is just it actually affected me. I often don't feel like films get into me and make me feel gross and unpleasant. Sometimes I feel like I watch a horror film and I'm kind of wow, there are some really crazy ideas and it's interesting exploring this and that and it's horrific, but it doesn't get under me, get into my bones and kind of shape me and make me feel like I need to shower just for the rest of time. I'm showering and I'm trying to wash off that thing on my body, but it's not coming off because they got in my brain and you can't wash your brain. If anyone has tips on how to potentially wash the sickness from my brain, that would be greatly appreciated. The very basic premise is two kids, siblings, they're step siblings, and they go into this new foster care home. They're recently orphaned, and that's the film kicks off, and well, it's pretty messed up. So messed up stuff happens, but hey, what and why and who and what is going on, I literally don't want to say anything. I really just wanted to kind of do a review about how it made me feel. Be warned, if you are someone who doesn't like gore or really nasty, brutal, gnarly, mean violence, the violence in Talk to Me was kind of shocking but very, very brief. In this, it is still very brief and quick in moments, but it is so devastating and so violent and so you will cringe, you'll squirm. You'll just kind of not want to look at the screen. I'm often someone who kind of not relishes, but I will not look away, especially in relation to practical effects. I'm quite fascinated by how they can make it look real. I'm quite interested in that kind of side of filmmaking. So I'm always kind of fascinated just to see how they're doing it and trying to figure out how is that real? And in this, it's all practical. And if it's not, it's some of the best CGI gore or violence I've ever seen in my entire life. I couldn't look at the screen sometimes. Genuinely was just I don't want to look at what is happening because it's so brutal and gross and mean. Like, I'm so happy that I love eating food so very much, because this film tries its darn hardest to just be like, you'll never want to eat ever again. What was really interesting about this film is that whilst it was completely separate and different and not derivative at all of Talk to Me, a lot of the themes and the filmmaking styles and like the things they seem to be interested in discussing were quite similar. Both films have the same kind of vibe around them. And this film, once again, explores grief. It is a really deep dive into like how far grief will push people, what it will make them do, what it kind of turns them into, shapes you into someone you weren't before. It is just such a horribly brutal exploration of grief and despair and pain, and it just goes so much harder than Talk to Me does. And I think it is a better film than Talk to Me, even though I think I prefer Talk to Me just because the hand is so iconic. And I don't know, it's like, even though it is quite mean and brutal at times, there's such a bit more fun to it. Whereas this kind of just like left me hollow. This film, just like Talk to Me, is a vaguely supernatural situation going on potentially. Maybe not, maybe so. And I very, very much enjoyed how vague the supernaturalness of it all was. I do wonder, some people might be a little frustrated that it is so vague. I love that, but that might not be your cup of tea. And the other thing that they seem to be intent on doing is exploring grief through vaguely supernatural things via children. Almost every level of the filmmaking in this film is sensational. The mood and vibe is just so suffocating. Their use of camera and their kind of mastery of where to place the camera, what kind of grotesque imagery that's like kind of technically quite beautiful in the way it's framed and composed. It's so like elegant and beautiful, but what you're actually seeing on screen, like the actual imagery, is grotesque and disgusting. All the filmmaking, it's so very good. But I feel like the main thing that really just like stands out to me immediately, it stands out to me straight away in Talk to Me and straight away in this film. I never really see like a true authentic representation of Australian children and teens. And in this, just like Talk to Me, it's so real. It's so palpable. I can like taste it. It reminds me of when I go outside in Australia, and it's so fantastic. The performances feel so grounded in reality that when stuff gets really crazy and awful, it just feels realer because these characters are real. I believe they exist. I believe their dynamics, and I care and I love for them. So quickly in these movies do they get you to care about these children, and it rips your heart out. And without us caring so quickly, it wouldn't really work to have so much suspense and tension, and this film kind of takes a little while to really get going. But because we care so quickly about these kids, you just want to follow them on this journey. And then when the film gets mean and brutal, it really hurts because of how much you care about these children. And it's sensational stuff. I was overwhelmed by the performances in this film. There's 3 main children, and every single one gives such a very different layered performance that are also unique, but they are all just so compelling and rich, and just, yeah, this film broke my soul. The only negative for me in this film is in the third act. I won't spoil it, but there is a moment that I think was just a little bit too mean-spirited, a little evil, and I don't think it actually made sense narratively and structure-wise to do that scene in that way. It kind of made the rest of the film feel quite unsatisfying. It didn't come together for me, and I very much see the intent of what they were doing. And I somehow actually feel like if they're going to be so evil and brutal and go down that mean-spirited dark path, I actually think maybe they needed to go even further, because by doing that, I immediately emotionally shut off and was like, I don't like this film anymore. This disturbs me, and no, too far. I think they might have even needed to just go even further and really push it, so I went, oh, we're doing this, are we? Whereas it felt like a bit of a subversion of expectation in a way that kind of structurally and like thematically I don't think was satisfying, and left me just sad and miserable, but not in the way where I'm like, ooh, yeah, okay. I'm just like, no, I don't care anymore. I'm out. But apart from that, it's a masterpiece. I'm still giving this bad boy 4.5 out of 5. Absolutely fantastic. It is so beautiful and amazing that us Aussies, Australia, we finally get some actual good Australian horror to compete with Peel / Astor / Eggers. And yeah, now we can go / Filippo Brothers into that new modern horror, making really good horror. And as I say that, I do realize that Lee Winnell and James Wan, both Australians, have been making horror for maybe 2 decades, but not a single one of their films feels Australian. And what I loved about this is it felt Australian. Every single character is Australian, feels Australian. The locations and the sets, this is like proper actual Australian horror. This is probably one of the best films I've ever seen that I might never want to ever think about ever again. Now, excuse me while I go and try and have a shower for the, 400th time and try and wash whatever this film did to my skin. On second thought, that rash might be unrelated.